Wakili Okatch, I'm looking at the front page of the Daily Nation, and here the zoomed-in faces of the engineers of the attack, which happened at the farm owned by the Kenyatta family. And according to a detailed explanation done by the paper on pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, a member of the gang said that each of the attackers was paid 3,000 Kenya shilling and issued with a machete. And this is largely according to the paper, a politician who funded and executed by the gang. I mean, before we come to what happened in Kibra, where Danvers and other interfaith religious leaders were, there clearly is the taking for a ride of Kenya's young populace by the political establishment. And this points to a governance problem. We have a president who was a former deputy president, a long-term MP. You have a former prime minister who is the opposition leader, a long-time MP, and a prime minister in the Grand Coalition government, both seasoned politicians, served in the ODM party from the advent. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta as well, political creation of the late President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. When will these problems that particularly affect, which is a constant factor bedeviling the Kenyan people, end? And is that conscience evident from your quantification? And is it palpable that it's going to be addressed? When will they have the conscience that these are problems that are affecting Kenyan people, the Kenyan people?
Yes, that's a good question. But allow me, before I answer, just within a minute or two, to respond to what Commissioner indicated. And I indicated that they are funded. And if you look at their, the Act itself, NCIC Act, Section 37, Section 38, it's very clear they are funded by the government. And if the funding doesn't come, as he is saying, then that's an issue. Then someone is intentionally crippling them. And that is something they should call out clearly. In terms of what my sister is indicating, I know politicians are very surprised that she actually says she believed them 100%, you know. A politician, whether it's your father, whether it's your sheikh, whether it's your priest, they always know that they woo you and they promise you heaven. They will not deliver even half of that, and they know that. So when they hear us saying that they expected, or we expected them to have delivered, they are shocked. But again, it is important to know that when someone promises, they have a 5-year mandate to implement. This government has only had, I think, 8 months or something around there. So they still have time to implement. So it's good to give someone a chance. And even after 5 years, sometimes that's where people say, give me another 5 years to complete my plans. To your question, whatever we are seeing on the Daily Nation, on the front page, is indicative of the problem we are in. And it will take quite a long time before we emancipate ourselves from this problem. The reason for that is because, unfortunately, we recycle politics and politicians. We do not have new breeds, new thinking. The way we see in developed countries, in the US, someone comes from nowhere and will actually lead. Unfortunately, in terms of this country, we actually rotate around the same genres and the same manner of politics. And it is based on maximizing on the poverty and the incapacitation of the youths. And many a times we have blamed the youths. But you must also know that these people do not have a means. And to them, sometimes they become gullible. And that's the reason why it's very easy for opposition protesters or opposition chiefs to get people on the streets any minute, any time, regardless of whether it's a working day, whether it's a weekend. Okay. The same issue, it's very easy for people to get youths to go and invade farms as if they are pro-government kind of hooligans. Very easy, but it is because of, unfortunately, the poverty situation. But more importantly, I dare say, it's because of impunity. Because when you promise these people that nothing will happen to you, and indeed nothing happens, it only exacerbates that issue. Because now, many other youths who are jobless or who are landless or who don't have something today will look at these pictures and they will only wait for tomorrow when there are other demonstrations, and they will actually swing into action. Because whoever funded them already gave them that, must have given them that assurance that police will not be there, and for sure, police were not there.
Okay, but when you mention joblessness, or unemployment, it's a case that needs to be addressed through policy positions. I mean, you can't address these problems on the streets, because the accusation here is that the papers established the raid was planned and funded by 3 politicians in the government and executed by well-known gang for hire. You said the opposition also enjoys the mammoth crowd of unemployed young Kenyans. Both ends seems to be taking the Kenyan public as a punching bag, who seem to be caught up between the two politically feuding parties here. Again, the government has lawmakers in the bicameral parliament, so is the opposition. Why not address both of them these issues? Because failure to address so, then if as warned by the church, the NCIC and LSK, we take the path of anarchy, God forbid, it's the very same young people who will be again on the forefront, who will be the objects of impunity, chaos and violence. Don't they have that thinking ability and the vision to which they need to see this as a ticking time bomb?
Ayub, that is a very good observation. However, the reality is that before you tell them about that future, they have to live today to see tomorrow. So for them, they look at it, they are myopic. They look at it in terms of today and in terms of self-gain. Remember, the way our Kenyan society is bred is about me and what I gain. It is as opposed to what is in Tanzania, in terms of it should be about us. So it's about what I have gained for myself, my child, and for that particular day, which is quite a wrong notion. But remember, the politics, many politicians are surviving on that poverty mentality and on that aspect that when the youths are empowered, they themselves will be at risk. So they are better off having these youths where they are, because it's easy to tap into them as and when you need. And unfortunately, with the youths that we have, they are at a point where they do not have, they are at a point where we may not say they have all so much of a choice at this particular point.
Okay, so